Let's talk about our next series. Let's talk about Direwolves versus Ducks Can Fly. Now, Direwolves, that they just announced today, actually, that they had picked up this WoW team. This team was known as Ethical last season. They're from the Oceania region. You know, we'll see if they've adjusted to the sleep schedule. That's going to be the tough one. I feel like Direwolves is maybe coming into this one, you know, obviously is a little bit more favored based on results and time trials and things like that. But they've also got their new org to try to impress. You know, that's a bit of pressure too that they're going to kind of be handling. So it's going to be interesting to see how they can go through all this, especially again when you factor in the sleep schedule stuff. That is not easy sometimes, even if you're a gamer that, you know, never sleeps and is on 24/7. It's still rough.
Very much looking forward to what classes we're seeing. Like you said, Dratnos, there could be some surprises. And there are. We're getting an enhancement shaman.
Yeah, so Direwolves here are running the... we've got the adventure guide open from our observer on the Direwolves side. Look at the very top left there. New... Okay, well, we'll see what quests were picked up from that. But yeah, you can see Direwolves going right into the boss here. And this is that pull that both teams are actually going to attempt. Stormdrake damage is vital here, right? That's the mob you need to make sure is dying first in this pull. And I'm actually a little bit worried about Direwolf's side here. That mob is dying a lot slower than the others. That is a large dragon. That is going to be potentially killing Jack here soon. Okay, so Jack has spell block running. The next breath shouldn't be too bad, but the one after that, spell block is going to have expired for. Actually, spell block is maybe going to expire even for this one. Here comes that breath. Yeah, spell block is down. Ooh. Oh, wow. Very, very sketchy.
Yeah. Both teams still have that Storm Drake up, and we can see that Direwolves, in terms of boss HP, have already progressed quite far, but they really need to finish off that dragon. That's exactly what they're doing. Both teams have killed it. Now it's only about happy feet and dodging these swirlies and dodging a breath, making sure you're not taking any unnecessary damage here.
I think you're supposed to PI the shaman, but I actually am not sure on that between the two of them, which is better. Yeah, I will look for it next time PI gets used. We'll see who it lands on. I think it's supposed to be the shaman, but I've always had a better target than either of those specs in these groups.
Just
usually.
give it to the tank. I'm sure that's going to be
give it to the healer.
Worthy. Tanks do a lot of damage. But yeah, Direwolves finishing off Heimdall, and they're moving on.
Meanwhile, Direwolves are going for huge pull into both of the mini-bosses. Now, the mini-bosses, I believe, do get bolstered, so Olmir is going to get quite large here. The good thing about Olmir, though, is that he doesn't do any unavoidable damage, right? You can kick and dodge all of his abilities, so as long as Solstein doesn't get bolstered, you're not too sad here.
The Eye of the Storm is definitely doing some damage. SLT already being deployed in a Tyrannical Key. You maybe would have wanted that for the boss, but 21 shouldn't be too difficult. They still have some other options that they can use to deal with it, but they're definitely killing Olmir next and then dealing with the Shield Maidens, and that's just comical to me. Yeah,
Direwolves are doing it with the boss! They are taking all the wargs into Fenrir, and Hollow here is just on a mission. Hollow and so they're both of their range players right now are playing at kind of max range from the boss, and they're just moving. And the way this works is if you are moving, you see Hollow there in Ghost Wolf, and with the move speed increase from being fixated by the boss. If you're moving when a wolf starts jumping at you, it's not going to hit you, because if you're far enough away, it's travel time. By the time it lands on where you were, you're not there anymore, and it can't hit you. So Direwolves are actually making a very dangerous pull possible through... You can see on the damage meters that it does sort of int your range DPS from actually being able to do any damage on the pull, but you know what? It's worth, right? We got to do all this trash with boss, and with this strategy here, Direwolves are actually going to accelerate ahead of Ducks Can Fly. Ducks Can Fly actually going to have to use Luca's Ankh there as well.
Direwolves, like you said, beautiful play with the wolves here. Shazo, of course, not having too much fun on that boss pull, but it doesn't matter. You're finishing off Fenrir in so much time. That Bloodlust was extremely worthy, and they're now finishing off the rest. They're on 80%, so they're going to need a little bit more if they want to skip everything and only do Kings next.
Direwolves are maybe 30 seconds ahead here.
Yeah, we're going to see how this one plays out, how quickly they'll be able to group up those kings. Of course, these bolster as well, and with the way that you're activating them, it's very hard to deny that bolster. You're going to have very specific damage profiles, but Sentinels coming in here for Direwolves.
Yeah, now they're going to have to wait for that Scovald RP, so we'll get a little bit of an idea of how much of a boss's percent health is the lead for Direwolves, but I suspect that, 30% of the boss's health, that's going to be really tough for Ducks Can Fly to overcome. They are going to need to do a lot more single target than Direwolves. One saving grace here for Ducks Can Fly, their Bloodlust is going to be up sooner. So maybe they will get a Lust and maybe Direwolves won't. And maybe their comp does more single target as well. And maybe with all of that coming together, they can close this gap, but it is going to be a large undertaking. So Odin is getting pulled here for Direwolves. We will see how much slower Ducks Can Fly are on that pull. I suspect also Ducks Can Fly are going to get to Lust their first runic brand, whereas Direwolves are not. So this is actually, it's going to be right down to the wire. We are going to see Direwolves almost certainly finish the dungeon first, and then it's going to be a question of can Ducks Can Fly catch up in those 25 seconds or not. 55 seconds until their Bloodlust is available. That's actually going to line up almost perfectly with the first runic brand for Ducks Can Fly, whereas Direwolves are just going to get to use it to send Odin home on the second runic brand, probably.
And then on the other side, Direwolves did exactly what we were talking about, 40 sending all of his CDs, including that army, into this damage buff here, trying to make the most out of it. But like you said, those 25 seconds are going to be so crucial between those two teams.
They just do so much damage in their cooldowns. They don't even need to get to the second runic brand. They are going to stop the clock here at 21:14, which means Ducks Can Fly have only a tiny bit of time in this runic brand to be able to make this one work. A long run coming in here for their Shadow Priest as well. 10 seconds. And they have so much damage with their Lust, with all of their cooldowns here, with Power Infusion, with everything coming out, but it's just not going to be enough for Ducks Can Fly. Wow.
Wow, indeed. That was closest dungeon yet by a lot this weekend. And man, both teams looking very clean aside from that little unfortunate incident at the end of Scovald for Direwolves, but it nearly cost them. But in the end, they got the dungeon anyway.